Okay, here we're going to go ahead and get started with the second chapter in the third unit, and we're reconciling a bank statement. So today we're going to reconcile a checking account with a bank statement by hand and by using a spreadsheet. So the first one is going to be by hand, and it says the next slide, well, I've kind of moved it to this slide. So this side has a bank statement and check register for Michael Biock's checking account. What steps are needed to reconcile the account? Well, the first thing that we're going to have to do, you can see here that there are certain areas where you see a little check mark. And what that check mark means is that it has already cleared the account on a previous statement. So our first step now is looking at the current statement, and the statement is down here below, and we're going to make more check marks for the items that have now cleared for this statement. So if we look at the first one, it says that there is a deposit on November 5th for $35. So if we look here, it goes chronologically with the date. Right here we have 11/5, and it was a deposit for $35. So we're going to put a little check mark right in that area, and it just lets us know that yes, it's cleared. And I'm going to go ahead and also put a check mark down there to say, yep, I've reconciled that item. The next one was a deposit on the 11th for $100. So down here on the 11th, I see a deposit for $100. So I'm now going to check that. Now I'm going to start into the withdrawals. It says here on 11/13 there was a withdrawal, and it says it was by a check. You can see here that it's check number 1770, and it was for $158.08. So you can see here on this far left column we have the check numbers, and they're also listed numerically in order. And it says check 1770, so going down I find check 1770 right here, and sure enough it was for $158.08. Now I'm not just checking here to see that it cleared, I'm actually making sure that the amounts match. So you see here $158.08 and $158.08. There will be times when you go to reconcile your account and it actually cleared for a different amount than what you wrote it for. And in that case, you need to contact the bank so that you can resolve that issue. Okay, moving on, we have check number 1768, and it was for $46.50. So here's 1768, and sure enough, it was for $46.50. Next, we have check 1769 for $74.64. So it also has cleared the account. And finally, on 11/27, check 1765 cleared for $19.50, and we have that value on there. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we now need to identify the items that have not cleared the account. So those are going to be any of the areas along here that do not have a check mark. So if we go down, the first one here, there's no check mark. So it still has not been cashed. Going down, check number 1767. It also has not cashed. Down here, 1771. And that's for dinner, it says. That one has not been cashed. And then 1772 for film developing has not cashed. Finally, there's a deposit for $125 down here. So I've got 5 items that have not been cashed. 4 of those items are checks that were written or withdrawals, and 1 of them was a deposit. So what we're going to do is go ahead and create a little chart, and we're going to list the deposits and the checks that have not cleared the account. On the left-hand side, we have deposits, and there was only 1 deposit that was not cleared for $125. So we're going to go ahead and carry that down to the bottom. The next, we had 4 different checks that did not clear. We had one for $50. We had one for $18. We had one for $29 $4,000.10. And finally, we had one for $15 that did not clear the account. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and add those going down, and all four of those total to $112.10. So now that we've got a subtotal of our outstanding deposits and checks, we're going to subtract the difference, subtract the two, and I get a difference of a positive $12.90. So what that means is that I have actually $12.90 more in the account than the check or the statement balance thinks that I have because of that outstanding check. Now notice here the ending balance is $628.23, but over here the ending balance is $641.13. Our goal is for both of those to match. So we're going to take that statement balance of $628.23 and we're going to add it to that positive $12.90. And when we do that, as it's coming down, you'll start being able to see that indeed both values now match, and this checking account is reconciled to the bank statement. All right, moving on to the check your understanding. Please press pause, take a second to answer this question, and we'll come back and answer it together. All right, it says name some reasons why a check may not have cleared during the monthly cycle and appear in the bank. Well, sometimes it's as simple as somebody wrote a check, you wrote a check to somebody, and they just did not get to cash it yet. They didn't get to the bank, they were busy, so they did not cash it. Another possibility, you sent a check and it got lost in the mail. Another possibility, you had a negative account balance and the check bounced. Now we can see from the balance on this one that that's not what happened, but this is a more general question about why any check possibly did not clear. So these are some of the possibilities. I'm sure there are many others that you came up with. But these are just some of the ones that you want to try and watch that, because if there comes a time where a check is about 60 days out and it has not been cashed, you're going to want to contact who you wrote that check to see what's going on and see if you can get it cashed. All right, the second example, now we're going to do it with somewhat of a spreadsheet. I know this doesn't look as much like a spreadsheet, but if we were to have a spreadsheet, we've got columns A and B, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for my rows. So that's what an Excel spreadsheet is going to look like. And what you're going to do is fill in each of the values. So it says Nancy has an account balance of $1,078 in her check register. So notice right here in A5, it says check register balance. That's where we're going to put the $1,078. It says the balance on her account statement or her statement account is $885.84. So that goes right here for ending statement balance. It says not reported on her bank statement are deposits of $575 and $250. So B2 is a place where we're going to put the outstanding deposits. We're going to go ahead and add them together before we put them in, and we find that it's a total of $825, and that's going in for my total outstanding deposits. Finally, we have total outstanding withdrawals. It says 2 checks. They are for $195 and $437.84. If I add those together, I get $632.84. Next, I have a revised statement balance. So what I'm doing is I'm adding in the outstanding deposits, I'm subtracting out the outstanding withdrawals, and my revised statement balance is $1,078. Now, if I were to do that in an Excel spreadsheet using a formula, I would take B1 plus B2 minus B3 equals B4. And in this case, you'll see that both balance. Moving on to example 3, it says Marina and Brian have a joint checking account. They have a balance of $38.39.25 in the check register. The balance on this statement, on her statement account, is $34.50.10. Not reported are deposits for these 4 values, which we're going to list, and 4 checks that were not cleared that he wrote for this amount. Reconcile the statement using a spreadsheet. So here's what our spreadsheet looks like, and we're going to go ahead and list our outstanding deposits are $2,135.67, $254.77, $188.76. And if I total those down here to the bottom, it's $25.79.20. Next, I have my outstanding checks, which is $567.89, $23.83, $598.33, and $1,000. Bringing that down, I get $21.90.05. So when I subtract them, I then get a total of a positive $389.15. Going down here to the check register balance, it was listed at $38.39.25. The statement ending balance was your $34.50.10. Now here we're going to go ahead and also place that we were adding to that the $389.15, and the revised statement balance is then $38.39.25, and you'll see from these values that they match and the statement is then reconciled. And that's all we have for today.